Welcome to 514 Sports with Paul Decary. Today is Wednesday, May 26th, 2021. A little special shout out to my old friend PJ Stock, former Montreal Canadien, who's celebrating a birthday today. So happy birthday, PJ. PJ and I played together throughout our minor hockey several seasons, starting in novice and finishing up in even junior in Pembroke. We played most of our time together with the North Shore Pirates, so shout out to the old North Shore Pirates there. Anyway, have a great day, PJ. Hope everything is well. So let's move on to the Habs and the Leafs. So the Canadiens and the Leafs finally got going late last week, just after we made my last podcast, and not too many people predicted the Habs to do too well in this series, myself included, but the Canadiens shocked us in Game 1. They came out victorious with a 2-1 win. Tough game. Carey Price played spectacular. Paul Byron's shorthanded goal, that was amazing. From his knees, great goal. Flipped it over Jack Campbell's shoulder late in the third period to give the Habs the 2-1 win. The game was marred by a dramatic incident early in the first period where Leafs captain John Tavares was body checked by Ben Sherratt, clean check, put Tavares off balance as he was falling. Corey Perry was skating by, and Perry inadvertently hit Tavares in the head with his knee. He actually hit him right in the face. Tavares looked pretty bad. He was pretty much knocked out on the ice. Play was stopped, and there was a delay for about 15 minutes or so. Corey Perry, as you can see, was visibly shaken as Tavares was stretchered off from the ice. Perry went over to him and gave him a little tap, say, sorry about that, man. Wasn't intentional. So, like I said, 15 minutes in. It took about 15 minutes on the ice. So the Leafs, everyone had a chance to review the play. They've all got their iPads on the benches, so we saw it. Everyone saw it, but looks like the Leafs didn't think it was unintentional. So Leafs, not tough guy, but one of their tougher players, Nick Foligno, had some words with Corey Perry at the face-off, and it looked like he wanted to drop the gloves with him. Perry did not look very interested at all in getting involved in this, but I guess there's a code in the NHL, and even if it wasn't intentional, the captain was injured, so Foligno and Perry dropped the mitts, and they squared off. It wasn't a great fight. I don't think Perry threw one punch. He was there pretty much to protect himself. I don't think he wanted to cause any more damage to any of the Leafs players, and so he kind of took one for the team, and they got their 5-minute penalties. That's going to go down as my midweek mind bender. I just don't understand why the Leafs decided that this was necessary. I think it puts a little black eye on Nick Foligno himself, the Toronto Maple Leafs organization, and even the NHL. This is stuff that doesn't need to happen. Totally understandable if it's a cheap shot and it's an intentional gesture and one of your players gets hurt, but this was very, very much not an intentional act, and it was an unfortunate accident, and we hope John Tavares gets better. He's been diagnosed with a concussion, and there's a knee issue. He will not return into the series. So this happened early in the first period. Maybe it gave the Habs a little bit more of a chance to take out the Leafs. Well, they won the game. They won the game 2-1 thanks to Josh Anderson's first goal of the game in the first period, and then Paul Byron winning it in the short-handed goal in the third period. So the Habs were looking good after Game 1. Dominic Ducharme was looking good with his decisions to sit Cole Caulfield, Alexander Romanov, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi, inserting John Merrill, Eric Stahl, Yoel Armia, Corey Perry, Paul Byron, going with a more veteran lineup. So the decision looks good. Heading now to Game 2. Game 2 also in Toronto, 2 nights later. Habs didn't look so good. We got beat 5-1. Not much to say about that. A couple empty net goals there. Carey Price looked good. Again, he played okay. Not great. But what marked me most about, not most, but from this game was Leafs scored on a power play to make it 3-1. Rasmus Sandin and Joe Thornton was near Carey Price, and the Habs decided to challenge the play for goaltender interference. Carey Price did not react whatsoever. That's a telltale sign. If the goalie doesn't react there's no interference. Because goalies, they know when they've been touched. They know when they've been interfered with. He didn't say a word. They decided to challenge anyway. That made it 3-1. So if we lose the challenge, we get a penalty. And I was so against it. But you could see, I don't think it was even called from by the bench. It looks like Marc Bergevin, looking at the replays upstairs, our GM, it looks like he made some gestures down to the bench to, hey, we got to challenge this. I really hope that's not the case. Marc Bergevin, he's the general manager. Dominic Ducharme's the coach. Let him coach. And you manage the team. Let him coach the games. Anyway, didn't bite us in the butt there, as they did not score in the power play. Obviously, the challenge was not granted. There was no goaltender interference. So anyway, we lost the game 5-1. So it's not bad. 2 games in Toronto and 1 win, 1 loss. Going back to Montreal for Game 3. The Habs didn't fare much better in Game 3, losing this one losing 2-1. Carey Price stood on his head. We just can't score. The Canadiens cannot score a goal. And then last night, this is why my podcast was delayed by 1 day. I wanted to wait for the Tuesday games to be over. Hopefully we'd have a 2-2 tie in the series, but no, the Canadiens came out flat. Even with Nick Foligno, the Toronto second-line center, not in action. Or replacing John Tavares. So Tavares and Foligno, their second and third centers, are out, and we lost 4-0. Can't even score a goal down. The Habs power play is terrible. This has to change. Without Carey Price right now, this team it'd be over. This series would be over. Carey needs some help. We got to wake up. We got guys like Tyler Toffoli, 28 goals during the season, nothing to show for. Josh Anderson, 1 goal. Nick Suzuki, 1 goal. Kotkaniemi, 1 goal. And Byron, 1 goal. That's it. Those are our 4 guys with goals. Brendan Gallagher, he's the heart and soul of this team. We need Brendan Gallagher to step up. Philip Danault, Thomas Tatar, Jeff Petrie, Shea Weber. It's just not working. The Habs are not looking good. They're going to be going into Toronto tomorrow night for Game 5. And let's hope they can pull that off and get to Game 6. Game 6 on Saturday night. If there is a Game 6, there'll be 2,500 fans in the Bell Center. And that's what we're looking for. We want to see people back watching live hockey, for the first time in over a year. But I'm not so sure if we're going to get there. Let's hope. Let's hope for the best. All right, moving on to our segment we started last week, our McDavid Minute. Unfortunately, this might be one of our last McDavid minutes for a while there, as the Winnipeg Jets swept the Edmonton Oilers 4-0. Unbelievably, in my opinion. I picked the Oilers to come out of the division. Oilers did beat the Jets 7 out of 9 times this year, but the Jets took them out in 4 straight. Mind you, 3 of the games were in overtime, so it was a closer series than a 4-game sweep. But just like Carey Price there, McDavid needs some help. He's got Leon Draisaitl over there in Edmonton, but not much happening production-wise for the Oilers. And McDavid, great regular season player. So far in the playoffs, 21 games, 22 points over 3 different playoff seasons. That's normally great for normal players, 1 point a game, but for Connor McDavid, he's used to getting 1.87 points a game. His career, he's up over 1.4 points a game. So it just, the season changes when we get to the playoffs. Less penalties, less room on the ice. But one thing I got to say about the NHL, Connor McDavid, the fastest player on the planet, did not draw 1 penalty in the 4-game series. That seems a little off for me. The NHL's got to protect their superstars. This is a league that people want to see superstars. If they can protect the superstars, let them play, let them move, and then it'll be a better league once the NHL figures that part out. Going back to the Oilers' last game, it did end in triple overtime, and Darnell Nurse, Oilers defenseman, ended up playing 62 minutes and 7 seconds. Unbelievable. This is the 3rd most time of ice for one player in any NHL game. The record is held by Seth Jones, who actually established this last year in a triple overtime game against the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. Jones played over 65 minutes in the Columbus loss to the Lightning last year. So let's move on to other series. So we've got another sweep that we can talk about. The President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche took care of the 2019 Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues in 4 straight. a little bit of a surprise. St. Louis didn't have a great year, but they've got some players. But Colorado's a strong team. They got Nathan MacKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog, Cale Makar on defense. They're looking strong. They're actually my pick to win the Stanley Cup this year over the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, so they took them out in 4. This series was marred by an unfortunate incident in Game 2 as Nazem Kadri was ejected from a Game 5 minute major in game misconduct for an illegal check to the head to the Blues defenseman Justin Falk. He was thrown out of the game and consequently suspended for 8 games. Nazem Kadri, you might know him, used to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, was traded to the Avalanche a year and a half ago. It's not the first time Kadri's been in trouble with the law. In the playoffs, this is his 3rd suspension. Playing for Toronto, he was suspended in 2 consecutive seasons, both against the Boston Bruins. In 2018, he had a 3-game suspension for boarding. And then in 2019, in the first round against Boston, he received what turned out to be a 5-game suspension for cross-checking another Boston Bruin player. That was till the end of the series, which ended up being 5 games, and Toronto, I'll throw this in, lost both series. So that's a little bit of a chuckle. Gives me a chuckle for that one. Speaking of Kadri, he's been suspended 3 other times as well. So, I mean, this guy's a repeat offender. So 8 games, I don't see the problem with it. He is appealing the suspension, but I don't think there's any merit for him to appeal that. He was suspended in 2013 for 3 games for interference, 2015 4 games for an illegal check to the head once again, and 2016 4 games for cross-checking. So if this 8-game suspension is upheld, it'll be 27 games of suspensions over the last 8 or so seasons for Nazem Kadri. So let's go on to the other NHL series, the playoff series. The Boston Bruins have taken care of the 2018 Stanley Cup champs, Washington Capitals. After losing the first game in overtime, Boston came back with 4 straight and knocked out the Caps in 5. Capitals, they did win that cup back in 2018 over the Vegas Golden Knights, but since then they have not won a series. They've been knocked out in the first round in 3 straight seasons. I mean, if I'm the Canadiens, I'd take it now. Give me a cup and I'll take the first round knockouts. But for Washington, it's a little bit surprising with Ovechkin and company, and I'm looking to see them get back on track next season. In the other series, in the former Patrick division, if you want to call it, the Islanders are up 3-2 over Crosby and the Penguins. This is a pretty tight series. A little surprising since Pittsburgh didn't have too much trouble with the Islanders this year, winning, I believe, 7 of the 9 or 6 of the 8 games this year. So they're playing Game 6 tonight in Long Island at 6:30. So if anyone wants to catch that. Carolina Hurricanes, not the Panthers. The Hurricanes and the Nashville Predators, after Carolina won the first 2 games at home, they lost the next 2 in Nashville, both in overtime. So Nashville tied up the series 2-2 when last night was Game 5, and the Hurricanes pulled it off in overtime. Captain Jordan Staal netting the game winner. Yes, Staal, brother of Montreal Canadiens forward Eric Staal. So that's 3-2 Carolina right now, with Game 6 going tomorrow, May 27th in Nashville. Moving on to the Battle of the Sunshine State. Tampa Bay Lightning are leading the Florida Panthers 3-2. With Game 6 going tonight in Tampa, so the Lightning have a chance to wrap up that series tonight. And in the final series out west, you've got the Vegas Golden Knights leading the Minnesota Wild 3-2, and Game 6 is also tonight in St. Paul, Minnesota. So let's move on to my non-hockey story of the week. Mostly been talking about hockey with the playoffs around the corner or starting. That's been the main focus for this podcast, but I've got a few other interests in a bunch of other sports. So we're going to talk about Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson, many of you know him, is maybe Tiger Woods' rival. Throughout the last 20 or so years, 25 years, him and Tiger have been pretty competitive with each other. Tiger came out on top most of the time, but with Tiger out with an injury right now, he had a car accident a few months back. Not even sure if he'll ever get to play again. Phil, he's kind of fallen off the PGA world map for quite some time now. Phil hasn't won a major tournament since 2013. He was playing in the PGA Championship this week. He's got some exemptions to get into most of these major tournaments, but Phil was ranked 115 going into this tournament, so that's quite a drop off. He was playing against these young guns like Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Brooks Koepka. These guys are young, strong, and they can smack the ball. But Phil, he pulled it off. Phil won the major. He won the PGA Championship, and he's almost 51 years old. It's quite a feat, when you think of it. Most of these guys are half of his age, and Phil was out driving them, so that's impressive. Good for you, Phil. Always been a fan of Phil. Not a greatest fan of Tiger Woods for personal reasons. A great golfer, but I preferred Phil, and him being a lefty. That's his little nickname, Lefty. And with my daughter Marion being a lefty, it makes me like Phil a little bit even more. So, Phil, 51, almost 51 years old. When we think of older golfers winning tournaments, we think of Jack Nicklaus. Mr. Nicklaus was 46 years old back in 1986 when he won the Masters, and that was quite the accomplishment. So just think of it. Phil's almost 5 years older than that, winning a major tournament at this stage in his life. Pretty impressive. Like I said, Phil was ranked 115th. After winning this tournament, he moves up to number 32 in the world rankings. That's fantastic. It's a jump of 83 spots. So congratulations, Phil, and hope to see you win another one. Well, that's about it for this weekend, guys. I really appreciate you guys listening, and take care of yourselves. Have a great week, and go Habs, go.